and there was a picture of these metal chutes that they would stuff bodies in to get them to the crematorium quicker. And it was the exact floor of the warehouse that I saw, dude. Yes. And I was just, it just mind fucked me because I was like, what? Like, oh my God. So ever since then, I was like, what is this?
Yes, and many children see them too. About 75% of the world's children today are being born with etheric vision. And when your children talk with people and have daydream playmates, the chances are they are actually speaking to some of these people. Because these angels or angelic forces or nature spirits, as they're often called, will often make themselves seen.
And all of a sudden I hear him go, whoa, or, something like that. So I look up, and as I look up, I see this thing.
And I said, I've never seen a butterfly like you before.
I know that the paranormal is real. Listen.
As soon as I spoke to it, it turns around and makes eye contact with me. And then it stands upright.
And it was at that moment that I saw it was like an orange light appear above this row of trees. And from this sort of orange light, this thing appeared. Its wings were actually like sycamore leaf shaped.
And I started talking to them. I'm like, hi, are y'all the dwarves? And I would hear whispers that would say, hi, yeah, you want to play? And it wasn't just my imagination. And I had told them, I'm like, my dwarves, they like beer, And my dad's like, yeah, sure, your dwarves like beer. And they were holding a conversation, and his beer slid upwards instead of downwards, how the house was tilted. And him and my brothers jumped up.
So I stopped calling out Adam, and I'm just my mind draws a blank, and I stop behind that tree stump. I'm pretty close to it now because I took a few steps forward, and I see this thing.
Welcome everybody tonight to Fascinating Fae. Tonight we're traveling to Pennsylvania to talk with Lauren. Lauren, how are things going in Pennsylvania tonight?
They're going great. How are things going for you?
I'm having a great day. I'm locked and loaded for another episode of Fascinating Fae, and one that I'm really excited to be producing. So, Lauren, what I like to do at the start of every episode of the show is I spend approximately 1 minute just kind of laying out some of the ground rules for our conversation so that everyone feels at home. Is it cool with you if I take just 1 minute to do that?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
So, this is also because you never know who's dropping in for the first time and, hitting play on one of these episodes because they got intrigued by the title or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
First rule of business here on the show is we are not attempting to convince anybody of anything. This is really important because the phenomenon is truly mind-boggling. And if you're not an experiencer and if you haven't been initiated, it can be really difficult for an outside person to understand. Those that do understand will immediately, get it without the need for lots of justification and context. But I just find, for myself especially, and lots of people that come on the show, there can be a tendency to just really try to convince, and I find that can get in the way. I'm just here to listen to what happened, and so is everybody else. So no pressure about convincing us that this happened. I actually know that it happened because I know so many of the weird things that have happened are not only true, but follow a pattern of logic. And so there's a convincing impact by the collective and not one that is placed on the individual by any means. So I just want to make sure you know that. The other thing I like to say is it is brave to come on this show. So Lauren, it's brave to come forward and talk to me.
Well, thank you.
I sincerely mean that. It's not a platitude. Attesting to the Fae phenomena or thoughts, insights that, fairies are real, it can be very socially isolating. It can be, at its worst, something that poses your professional and personal life risk. And it can be just in and of itself, like, to experience things that are incredible and not logical is a mind breaker, which is the point, which is why the Fae do it. But that's not like a joke. Like, it can be very challenging to integrate these experiences and then come forward and talk about them. So I do think it's brave for you to do that, and I want you to know I feel that way.
Thank you.
Finally, the format of the show is pretty straightforward. I like to zip it and let my guests have as much time, space that they need to just get into the stories, get into the events. In your case, there's one really standout one that I know you're here to talk about, so we can start there if you like. But even just in the brief combos with you offline, I know there's a number of things that are really interesting that you could talk about. I'd love to cover that thing you told me about your cat, because cat interaction with Fae is a emerging narrative here in season 2. So, any stuff that comes to mind is fair play. Don't feel constrained to like any one core story, but I think that this core story is so fascinating that, let's jump into that to start, unless, there's some prior context that I didn't get from you before that you feel is necessary. Just feel at home here to set the scene, introduce yourself a little, let us know kind of what was happening at that time of your life, and just walk myself and the audience into what you've come here to talk about tonight, if you'd be so kind, Lauren.
Sure. Well, my name's Lauren. I'm 36 years old. I love to do art and music. I have a bunch of animals. I have 2 birds, a cat, and 3 dogs. And I'm glad that you brought up the cat story, because that wasn't in my mind, but my cat is actually sleeping right next to me right now. So I'll talk about that. So this was like, I think maybe like 2 weeks ago now or something, but I was just in the home office, and I was just scrolling through my phone and stuff and chilling out with my cat, and I noticed that he was like sitting right in front of the computer monitor, the desktop, and he was sitting on the office chair and just staring at it, the monitor. And I'm like, what are you doing, dude? And then I saw him. The more I looked at him, the more I realized his face was moving, like his eyes were moving side to side, and then he was even trying to use his paw. And I look at the monitor, and the cursor is just going crazy, moving everywhere. And the mouse was not, I wasn't touching the mouse, my cat wasn't touching the mouse, it was completely still. And I actually got a video of it too, because I was just so floored. But yeah, it was like something was playing with my cat, and my cat was totally into it.
What's fascinating about that, just to jump in here, I know that we'll get to something more
Yeah.
here in a second, but I often have said on the show that they can utilize technology, the Fae. And it's really interesting that the cursor is moving without the physical mouse moving, because
Yes.
they can kind of use technology beyond function. And there's 101 examples that have appeared on the show of them manipulating images post production, manipulating file systems, turfing important information that people know was saved, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And your brief story about the cat is so interesting, because I often wonder, like, are they, for example, doing it as an act of telepathy, or are they somehow using the machine?
Yeah.
And thinking about the cursor moving around independently, is extremely compelling as it relates to the concept that they might be actually using the machine. Also, this thing about cats like having perception of the other side, and or cats having like the ability to teleport is something that's like coming up a lot. Is there any other stuff your cat has done that's made you scratch your head? I'm really curious.
To teleport. Wow. No, but I haven't had my cat for too long. I actually was gifted him by what they call the cat distribution system, I guess. That's what I learned on Reddit. Cuz I'm a waitress and he literally came into my restaurant. And he was a stray, a little baby. There's this lady who lives behind the restaurant in a little housing complex, and she feeds the strays. So that's probably why he was super friendly and stuff. But he literally came into the restaurant, and my coworkers, they're all cat people, and I didn't have a cat. I have dogs and birds, and one by one they were like asking their fiancés and boyfriends like, can I bring this cat home? They're like, no, we already have four. It was like three separate ones, and they're like, Lauren, you have to take this cat. And I'm like, guys, I have birds and dogs, I can't do that. They're like, come on, you know what, we know you take good care of your animals, because I'm always posting them on my Snapchat. And so my one coworker literally went to Walmart and bought me a whole bunch of stuff to start him out. She bought like a litter box, some litter, some food, bowls, toys, all that. And I brought this damn cat home. And like when I was driving home, I was like, "Hun, I don't know what I'm doing, but I guess we're going home." And so that was it. And I've had him for, I think, like 4 months now, but he just fits right in, and he's so funny. He hasn't really done anything yet except for that, when it comes to magical stuff. But I'm sure that he's capable. He's a black cat.
Wow. What good vibes at the start of this episode.
I love that.
The cat distribution system, that's fucking gold.
I know. I didn't know about that. They're like, you were gifted by the CDS.
I love the idea of like a literal like cat distribution system.
Yeah, what if the Fays are in charge of that?
Well, I don't know. I heard this really compelling story from a recent guest, Rachel, where she had a near-death experience, and following and preceding the near-death experience, she was seeing visual with her open eyes, representations of the Fae. At one point, she saw what she perceived to be like the leftover remnants of an argument that her and her partner had had as a physical thing. And
wow.
she was looking at it in the corner, and she kind of felt like, oh, you're the fight. And she watched this dark mass sort of descend from the corner of the room down towards the floor, and then she noticed the cat notice it. And the cat ran over and tackled it to the ground and seemingly dissolved it.
My God.
After which it ran up the cat tree and had like a 6-hour nap. But she clearly like saw it. She saw the cat see it. She saw the cat go to it, jump on it, and attack it down to the ground and wrestle it into nothingness, and then go have an epic nap.
Oh my God. Oh, okay. So first of all, the fact that it was an entity speaks to how, like, the way that you treat people, especially the people closest in your lives, it really matters, because this everything has like a ripple. Like everything has this heartbeat in life that we're all connected to. And I feel like the vibes that you put out there, it's like this wave that touches everybody somehow. And like, if you're fighting like that, because I know with my boyfriend, if I got in an argument with him, that shit lingers. You know what I mean? Like, you feel bad for a while. And even, when you say you're sorry and everything, it feels better. But like, it's something more than just negativity. It becomes this thing. And it makes me so intrigued to know that the cats saw it. Like when cats are playing and running after something that you don't see, I wonder what, if it's like these bad vibes that we had put out there and the cat's like this savior trying to cleanse the area.
Well, okay, so that's probably why you got a cat, and the Fae could absolutely be responsible for the cat distribution system. Also, here's how deeply functioning your intuition is. Going directly, quote from Rachel, who is the near-death experiencer who saw this. She says, "Thoughts are things." Simple as that.
Wow.
And you just said, like, it kind of becomes a thing, and it does linger, and it really begs the question, like, the nature of our experience here in reality, and what are the forces that are impacting us on a daily basis, and how to wrestle with that. Yes, it's really fascinating that the cat saw it. Honestly, Rachel's episode is like a sleeper hit. Like, that one is going to play on for years, because she had, like, another example, not to kind of hijack your episode and talk about this woman Rachel here, but it's interesting. I actually really appreciated your response there. So I'll just tell you another quick one, and then we'll get right back to you.
Yeah.
She had another similar event where she was having a lot of anxiety about her parents coming to visit. And this is in the lead up to her near death. She was having a slow motion drug interaction that was killing her, and she didn't know for several days. So she was slowly dying. And as this was happening, her perception was altering, and all these events were taking place. And one day she came into her room, and she was having all this, like, anxiety about her parents coming to visit. And as she entered her room, a little jewelry box on her table just flew off and slammed into the wall right in front of her and sprayed jewelry all over the room. And this happened, like, with her open eyes and in front of her. And her immediate thought was, oh, that's my anxiety.
Wow.
Yeah, she's a very interesting background, because she grew up in kind of like a deeply religious household, and was not like a drug user, not like an alternative thinker person, like very straight up the middle. Started to have this bad drug interaction, and then had these, like, series of totally bizarre, like, over the course of maybe 2 weeks leading up to or about a week leading up to her near death, and then thereafter. Here's another crazy detail that I'll just stick. I'm talking about Rachel here the whole time. I'm so fucking sorry, Lauren.
It's okay.
When she died in the ambulance, they took her blood, and when she came back to life 3.5 minutes later at the hospital, they took her blood. And during the 3 minutes that she died, her blood type changed.
What?
Anyway, so I'll just leave all that hanging in the air. But yeah, the cat thing is deeply intriguing. Your cat seeing that mouse moving, I feel like, is deeply, deeply related, because the Fae tend to line up guests and experiences in this show's trajectory. So not to get us too far in the weeds at the start, but there's definitely something related there. And I don't know why, but there was just a chime in my ear. I don't know if you heard that or not. So there you go.
Yeah. I did. I thought I heard something. I wanted to say something about that story you told me, or Rachel's experience, before I forget, that they say that the closer you get to death, the more the veil lifts, So I wonder, it's so intriguing to me how the closer she was to her near death, it's like she could see things that are there that maybe perhaps that we're not in tune with and can't see. You know what I mean? Like she just recognized that, oh, that's my anxiety. Somebody who's in an everyday life perspective would never think that. You know what I mean? But it was made perfect sense to her.
I agree with that assessment, and I'll let you have the pleasure of listening to that episode sometime later after we're done talking.
Yes, I definitely will. I don't know why I want to talk about this, but there's this, like, time that I astral projected. Can I talk about that?
Let's go there. Absolutely. Whatever comes up is absolutely cool on this show.
Okay, so this is crazy, but it was a dream that I had, right? But it wasn't, it was more like an experience. And dreams, anyway, I'm real into, like, Carl Jung and all of and his teachings and works. And I was just listening to something that he was talking about dreams last night, actually. But so this experience I had, I was, it's my dream, whatever, I was sleeping. But so it's this giant warehouse, huge, like picture the biggest warehouse that you have ever seen. And there's nothing in there. It's just completely like industrial, just like metal, but it's empty. It's completely empty, except for on the floor, there are all kinds of holes, big holes. And they're all symmetrical and they're all lined in lines and they completely cover the floor. And in these holes are dimensions that you can go to. So like in my dream, I understood that this warehouse was a place where souls go when they want to astral project. And so each individual circle had a live action view of the dimension that you were going to. Like, for example, if it's like the ocean or whatever, the circle is just filled with like waves moving. And like, so all of these circles had a different place to go and they're all animated. And all you had to do was think of the word that corresponds with the place. So like if it's ocean, you just think water and you just zoom into that world. But you could also be more intentional with it and say, I want to go where the water is. And for some reason, that forced all the souls that were in the warehouse to go with you there. So somebody wanted to go to the moon. And all of a sudden, like, I'm just fascinated by all these circles. And all of a sudden, I've sensed somebody say that they want to go to the moon. They want to see the moon. So I feel like it's like there was a tether. It's like I was connected to this rope there, and I felt my body zoom through the air, through this circle, and it brought me into space, and I was face to face with the moon at perspective. Like, I could hear the sounds of space. I could see everything in there. But it was just right in front of me, the moon, and I'm just suspended in space, and I'm so small. And it was just like I'm shaking talking about it because I was like, oh my God, this is the moon. I'm here and I can actually see it. And just for, of course something woke me up, but like it literally felt like I was pulled by some extreme force that zoomed my body into the air, and I went back into my body, and like I did that thing where like your leg hits, it's like you hit the bed and your whole body like not convulses, but literally hits the bed. And I was just like, holy shit. And so get this, about a week later, I'm ethnically Jewish, right? About a week later, I was watching this video about the Holocaust, and there was a picture of these metal chutes that they would stuff bodies in to get them to the crematorium quicker. And it was the exact floor of the warehouse that I saw, dude.
Wow.
Yes. And it just mind fucked me because I was like, what? Like, oh my God. So ever since then, I was like, what is this? I looked up astral projection, and everyone who experienced they feel like they're on a rope and like they're flying through the air. And I was like, this is crazy, man. This is what happened. And been trying to figure out why, like why with that video too. Like maybe it was my ancestors, like, I don't know, just telling me something I'm trying to figure out. But it was very powerful.
Have you ever considered that that's also a past life memory of your own?
Oh my God, I have not. Because like, wow, like when I tell you the circles cut out in the middle of this like sheet of metal that they would just stuff people through and shoot, it was the same. Like I had to pause the video and I was just looking at my phone with my jaw completely dropped for like a solid minute. You know what I mean? I'm like, this is, that's it.
I'm see. I don't know how it's started, but it's definitely part of me doing this show. Is I'll get these like goosebump waves at times during interview process, and
Yeah.
this whole like section of conversation has made me feel like I'm gonna float away here. I got so many goosebumps. Fascinating. Nothing in this reality occurs randomly. And
Right.
so if you're having that deep, also like I'm just listening and I wasn't there and these are not my experiences, but I'll just tell you what comes up for me as I'm listening. That concept of like each of these cylinders holding another dimension, and then
Yes.
you seeing the same imagery, but this is instead a place for bodies to be shoved,
Yes. Yes.
is somehow connected. Because I hypothesize all the time on the show that we ourselves are kind of the Fae. And when you listen to like Rachel and others that have come on the show, it seems like a lot of reality is not just being experienced by us, but is sort of emanating from within us potentially as well. And so conceptually, the idea that like these places in your dream are places you can go, like escapes almost, and then there's all this, correlation to dead bodies in the same cylinders is deeply symbolic, I think, of one and the
Yes.
same.
Because it it made me think like the past life thing that's very profound. When I saw that video, I was thinking maybe it's like it was like a silver lining, that they went somewhere that is so beautiful that we can't even comprehend it. Because when I picture me seeing the moon like that, like it was real. Like it was real, because in dreams, what you experience, like your dream is your reality when you're in it. It's all you're perceiving. It's real. You know what I mean? Like it's just as real as real life, in my opinion. When if you're talking about perspective and how reality is experienced.
I'm happy with how this episode started, even though we still haven't gotten to your core story. Um, this is fascinating conversation. Uh, no, this is really fascinating. I'm trying to collect my thoughts. Hold on. What am I trying to say here? What if this is just me talking out loud here, because we're just talking, that's the format of the show. Like what if that is a recovered memory, and that when you die as a person you kind of get to go, especially if you're dying in a horrible way, like maybe there's a kind of release there, the soul and so as you're like talking about being tied to what is these other folks in the dream, and then seeing that there's multiple bodies in these cylinders is really, really deeply interconnected. Yes, yes, and all getting the same reprieve in death that they were not afforded in their life. And your deep experience of it, and then following up with it being shown to you in that imagery, I think is reality telling you that that's a real thing that you quote unquote dreamed.
You and let you know that they're with you, and they love you, in my opinion, even though you never met them, because they're from, a long time ago.
I often wonder how our lives unfold, and if they do have like when you die you come back, basically reincarnation. What's also really interesting too, and I'll have to go back in a moment and figure out exactly where, is at some point there your microphone cut out, which is
Really?
yeah, and it's a weird thing that happens on the show when someone is getting close to the truth of something. Generally speaking, is when that will occur.
Wow, I'm curious to know when that was, because I didn't touch it.
No, it's a software weird glitch on my end, which is not supposed to technically be possible. But I've enacted a new protocol where I look at the waveform as I'm talking, and I noticed that yours was no longer producing a waveform, even though I could hear you clearly.
Wow.
But we didn't lose too much, I'm sure of that, because I only closed my eyes for a minute there as I was listening to you. Well, Lauren, that's a really powerful dream, because if it's something that you then see in this television program and are able to connect as one and the same, and then the nature of the dream and the nature of the reality of the actual place, it seems to me like that's all just part of one event for you.
Yeah, plus tied in with the fact that I'm related to people who passed in the Holocaust, you know? It was just like a triple pronged thing where it was so profound that I couldn't do anything for a solid minute. You're just dumbfounded. But went to talk about, you know, the little offering I think that I was given. I've been given a couple offerings actually. A couple of years ago, I really started to work on genuinely healing myself because I, you know, like many people, I experienced traumatic things. And unfortunately, as a result, it made me behave in a way that I wasn't proud of. You know, I would push people away. I would isolate and things like that, and feel like I'm not really worthy of. And so I've been working a lot in therapy to kind of change that disordered thinking, and I really focused on active gratitude and light work and spirituality and being true to myself and loving myself and honestly counting my blessings, like actively saying out loud my blessings and thanking the universe for everything. And so the 2024 solar eclipse, I was outside and I see like a glint of light on this rock garden that's in front of my house, and it was glinting on the pearlized center of this fossil that's a marine fossil, Astrea heliotropium, and it's like 500 million years old, back from when Pennsylvania was completely underwater. And I truly believe that was like my first real where I was like, this is a gift, you know? And so I thanked the universe for that. And then about, I don't know, a few months ago, I go into my kitchen and right in the middle of the countertop is this coin. And I look at it and it's an Indian coin. It's a 1 rupee coin. 2017 is the year, and it has lotus flowers on the back. It's real pretty. And I had never seen a coin like that before, and there was no reason for it to be there. But I consider it like a lucky charm now.
Okay, I want to dig into this a lot. So I want to make sure that I understand the first part with the solar eclipse and the glinting off the fossil. Did you find the fossil as a result of the shining, or was it something you knew?
Yes. Yeah. I didn't know it was there, like, because it was covered in dirt and it kind of looked like every other rock. But right in the middle was this part of it that was pearlized. And after I cleaned it, I realized the entire thing was pearlized. But because of the debris and stuff on it, you couldn't see it. But right in the middle of that spiral, you know, it looks like, you know, like a nautilus. That's what they look like. Um, the solar eclipse was shining right on it. And so I knelt down to look because I'm a rock hounder. Like, I love looking at rocks. And every time I find a cool one, I'm like, thank you, mother. I tell the universe. But yeah. And I look down and it's spiky. It doesn't look like a regular rock, and it's a freaking fossil. And I was so thrilled. It's like my pride and joy. I'll send you a picture of it after.
Okay, that's really interesting that that occurred during the solar eclipse. That's a really cool gift.
Yeah.
Okay, now this coin, on the surface, you could easily just breeze past this story and not understand it for what it is. But let me ask a few questions that'll help tease out some of the mystery here.
Sure.
So, you live alone? That's my first question.
No, I live with a couple family members.
Okay. And, you know, obvious question, no one is responsible for this coin that you're aware of? You've asked?
No, no. I have asked, and we've never seen it before either.
So set the scene for me again. Like, what time of day? What was going on preceding? So you had just found that stone how long prior? The fossil?
Oh, the fossil I found in 2024.
Okay, gotcha.
Coin was probably November of last year, of 2025.
Okay, so not related directly in time. That was something that I was
No.
curious about, just because of the way that you had shared the story. I had originally understood them as kind of happening close together. But let's get back to the coin for a second. So how did it exactly go down? Like, what kind of time of day, and like, where exactly was it on the counter? That's an important detail I'm curious about as well.
So it was nighttime, because I remember it was after I came home from work. I always work nights. And like the light, the little oven light was on, and I could see it, and there was nothing else on the counter but that coin. Everything was like moved to the side. I was like, this is weird. Just so that it's almost as if to be so that I could see it better, stuff moved so that I could see it. I'm like, this is weird. Yeah.
Was it in the center of the counter, do you recall?
Yes, right in the center.
Yeah, that's the hallmark of the Fae, is they do center placement.
That is so cool.
I mean, I can't tell you how many. Like this one guy, William, he's sitting using his television remote. He puts it down beside him, and then he goes to reach for it, and he can't find it. So he's like, what? Looks in the cushions. What? Looks under the couch. Now he's getting ridiculous, looking behind the couch. He was just using it. He just put it down beside himself.
This happens to me all the time.
Okay, well, let's get there in a second, but let me tell you.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
No, this is related. I do think it's related. Also, as I listen to you talk and you share about, your personal development, trauma, and the way that you're taking responsibility for, facing those challenges, that you sound like every guest on this show. The Fae love these people that they know they can trust, and they look to the hearts of the hard-won good hearts, because I feel like they can trust that. They trust the people that have overcome things and still maintain a good heart, which makes total sense. And I think that that's why they try to communicate with those types of people. And they use object communication frequently because it's a great way to open you up to their presence. But anyway, let's talk about William here for a second. So he's like looking for his charger. He can't find it. He's like a little OCD, so he totally like goes to the point of completely cleaning his small like room downstairs in his folks' house, and like to the point of vacuuming it, everything, right? And he still cannot find it. He goes upstairs, and his parents are like aware that he is visibly distraught. He cannot find the fucking remote. He eats a bit of food. He goes back downstairs, and it is directly in the center of the carpet that he had just vacuumed.
Why do they do that? Just to play?
Well, okay. Well, first of all, yes, but it's one hell of a game, isn't it? Because it's showing, it's not just the fun of, haha, I took your thing and I gave it back. That's, on the surface, that seems like an infantile thing. But when you really break it down and you look into it a little bit more aggressively, I guess, because I'm always wondering, what the fuck are they trying to do?
Yes.
Before I answer my own question to what you're saying, before I answer your question, why do they do that, which is also my own question, I'll share a few more. There's like this woman named Jem from the UK. Her husband's wedding ring went missing. Wedding ring went missing. That's a nice tongue twister. Say that 5 times fast. Anyway, 3.5 years they're looking for this fucking thing. Can't find it.
Oh my God.
Now, totally unrelated, but like kind of like you, something happens where she's like, oh, there's maybe some entity or something going on here. Like, and so I'm really condensing her story. She eventually sets up cameras, and then she finally sees it, the thing that she thinks is fucking with her other stuff. And in a kind of like a moment of like mental clarity, she realizes like, I wonder if that's what took the wedding ring. And so she says in her head, could I please have the wedding ring back? And she goes to go for a walk with her husband and dog. They open the patio door, and right on the very center board of the patio, right in front of the front door, is her husband's wedding ring sitting there.
Oh my gosh. You know, I read a story like that where it was it was either husband or wife's ring that was lost, and it was like 20 years later it grew on a carrot in their garden.
Oh, I've heard that one too.
Yeah, it was like a big news story. That is wild. But I wonder why they do that. Is it to like to test us to see how well we can manage our frustration? We're getting better or something, or just to be like, hey, we're here? I don't know.
Huh, that's an interesting take. I hadn't really considered it as a test of our ability to withstand frustration. That may
You
well be
know?
a part of it, because I really am stuck on this idea that they want to test for the good hearts. So that may well be a part of it. But here's what I think. This is just my 2 cents. I think that number one, it's like in the case of like this coin, or in the case of William, let's just use William as an example. Like the thing disappears and then it comes back to an impossible place, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing. That's what you would call like disappearing, reappearing object, right? Yours is more like an apportation, where an object spontaneously appears, of which there are many, many, many examples as well. And often these spontaneously apporting or appearing objects are money, jewelry, or shiny rocks. This is almost always these types of things, which is sort of suggests you're getting a gift. So the first part of it is, how does something like that happen? It's not possible, right?
Right.
So that's the first part of the gift, is the confusion. The confusion is actually a gift, because the confusion is a wedge that opens up your mind to the true nature of reality. And if they see that you get it, they will escalate. Also, like, here's an interesting thing I'll share with you too. This is someone I spoke to offline, won't come on the show. I hope they'll come on the show. I keep pressing them to. But they actually were present when an object materialized. They watched it appear out of nothing. And they describe hearing a really loud pop when it happened, which is really, really interesting to contemplate. Like, they heard a loud, like, popping sound, and then they saw this
Wow.
object materialize. I won't ruin it because I hope to bring them on the show, but how these objects get into place is a really curious part of it. And the center placement is like part of the presentation and the hallmark to let you know this is not an accident, this is intentional. So that is also part of the communication, is the intentional center placement is the hallmark of a choice of an entity or a thing. It's not random. You didn't find this coin on the bottom of next to the fridge, to the left.
Right.
You found it center on a counter. Ruby, the woman from episode 51, she has this special plate and she loves it, and the plate goes missing. And she also has a dream of a entity that says, ha ha ha, I took your plate, she doesn't believe it, but then later, I'm truly condensing that story as well, just for sake of brevity here and kind of rapid firing some of these back at you. So she loses this plate. She's like, fuck, I want this plate again. So she finally, after searching high and low for days and days and days, buys another one. And the other one comes, and there's like, she's unaware that it's there, but it's just gotten dropped off at the front door. And she's in the kitchen, and her husband says, Ruby, come in here. And she walks into the kitchen, and there is the plate that's been missing for weeks, right in the center of the stove where she's currently cooking breakfast.
Wow.
Because she'd heard something come to the door. And so she walked towards the door, and then her husband's just like, come in here, and the plate's there. What do you think is at the door? She opens the door. It's the new plate, just got delivered, the replacement plate.
That is crazy.
So she loses one, she orders the next one. The moment the next one comes, the old one reappears. This is the hallmark of intentionality. So is center placement. She had center placement in the center of the stove there as well. I've experienced it firsthand. I had 2 heavy weights move to the center of the room of my condominium in a crazy event that was unfolding. And I have serious mobility issues. I can't pick things up off the floor. I always keep these two weights in the exact same place, like just below my bed, where I can lay down flat on my bed, reach over and pick them up. And now they're in the middle of the room, which is impossible for me.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what is up with the center placement, but I wanted to ask about your coin in the center. So when you saw it, you come down, you notice the lights on, you see the coin, everything is moved out of the way. What did you think at first? I'm really curious.
Um, I didn't know what to think. When I looked at the coin and saw that it was from India, I immediately thought that it was a gift because I've been really like I believe that. I truly do now, especially ever since that shell that I found, the fossil. Um, I did think it was a gift and I said thank you too. And I think that maybe it's to like cuz the more that I practice the gratitude and thanking the universe for my blessings, it's like they show the more come, and I think it's like just saying the more good that you put out there, the more good is going to come back to you kind of thing. Just a reminder that you're doing the right thing and you're on the right track.
Hang on to that coin. Wow.
I will. There's something like there was just a loud noise upstairs and my dogs are barking.
Oh yeah, do you want to go check that out? I'll hang on.
Yeah, I need to go check that out.
I'm really curious what that's going to be.
I don't know.
Let's find out together.
I do have to go soon though.
No problem.
Let me see. Just my son. They're barking at my son.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad that you don't have a fairy
No.
up in your house tossing stuff around.
Right? Because it was loud.
Well, Lauren, out of respect for your time, what I'll do is I'll just ask you a couple of last questions as we go to kind of wind down here tonight, if that's cool with you.
Yeah.
I guess my first question is just like today, what does that coin mean to you? I know you said it's kind of a good luck charm, but I'm just curious, like, do you keep that close? What's your relationship with that coin like?
So I actually have this little plushie. I used to be obsessed with Japanese rock as a teenager, and I've had this plushie of a J-rock singer that I really love since I was like 15 years old, and it's kind of like I don't know, not like a friend, but like I'm bonded to this stuffed animal. And so I wrapped a little, like I decorate him. I make bracelets for him and stuff. And there's this little belt I put on him and I put the coin right in the center of it. And that's where I keep it.
Too cool. Well, I do think it is a gift. And everything that I've sort of picked up just by talking with you today feels so familiar to me as I go through this journey of talking with people on the show. I'm pretty confident you've got a Fae friend, if not more than one, around you. And I hope that after we talk and you think about it more and you listen to some more of these stories that are shared by others in the show, you become more convinced of that as well. Because if they're trying to get your attention with objects, to me anyway, they're choosing you for communication. They're trying to develop a relationship with you. And why? Still not sure. But I do think that what happens here impacts there. And again, just to kind of quote a former guest, Ruby, she says, every little thing that you do actually really matters in this world. And so these small acts of kindness towards yourself and towards others, and your curiosity about yourself and your inner journey are being acknowledged by your Fae family, it would appear, that are around you. Lean into that would be my advice. Be deeply curious about it. Hang on to that coin forever. That's definitely a gift.
It's so validating.
Money also, like I can talk about this guy, William, who had an experience with coins. I don't know why it's often a small personal object, something that would be like handheld or held close. Often it's symbolic of value or shininess or like money, jewelry, like for example,
Mm-hmm.
And when you think about the folklore of the Fae, you hear all like, oh, they love shiny things and they will steal your gold, and damned if it isn't fucking true.
Sounds like ravens.
Well, Lauren, I ask every guest who comes on my show the same question as we go to wrap up, and I'll ask it for you here tonight. Take as much time as you feel necessary to answer, and know that there's no right answer or wrong answer. But what I like to ask people is, Lauren, what do you think fairies are?
I think they're like living stardust. Like that's taken form somehow.
Good answer. Strong answer. In a world where none of us know for sure, that's a strong answer.
Thank you.
I'll tell you what, I could talk to you definitely longer, but I know you have to go. So I will spend about 1 minute just wrapping up this episode, doing my podcaster housekeeping.
Okay.
If you can bear with me while I do that, I give all of my guests the last word on the show. So you can think for a moment about what you might like to say for the audience listening as we go to sign off here tonight.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Well, everybody, you've been listening tonight to Fascinating Fae. I'm your host, Jim. If you've had an encounter or a gift and you'd like to come on the show and talk about it, drop me an email at encounters@fascinatingfae.com. You can also send me a DM on any of the traditional socials where you can find the show at Fascinating Fae. With all that said, I will say this, which is that on behalf of all of our human and non-human listeners tuning into the show tonight, a super big thanks to Lauren for coming on the show. Lauren, I sincerely appreciate you coming on and telling me all of these stories tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And as I mentioned a second ago, my guests always get the last word. So if you'd be so kind to give us your last words here tonight, please.
Sure. Just remember that you have so much power within you. And if you ever need to find any answers, just look within, and I promise you'll find it.
An old man walked upon the desert. A pharaoh chased into the sea. And now myth has turned to legend, and legend to history. The pillars of the past are buried, swallowed by the sands of time. Now the world is viewed from skylines. Are we getting out of line? Are you the richest man in Babylon? The fattest cat to roam the streets? The ugly duckling or the river swan? Tell me which fate our race will meet. In what direction are we faced? What will the future bring? And have our faces all been maced? These questions I must sing. The media feeds us the propaganda. We're hungry for our TV screens. Are we endangered like the pandas? What the hell does all this mean? Are you the richest man in Babylon? Fattest cat to roam the streets? The ugly duckling or the river swan? Tell me which fate our race will meet. Are you the richest man in Babylon? Can you predict predict our fortune or tell our fate? Do the prophets lie or are they genuine? Your answers I will await.